In your role as head of a legal team in one of the 10 biggest employers, global companies in the world, you have sat on countless board meetings where decisions were made that impacted a lot of people's lives. Have you witnessed any fear during those meetings?
Sure, a type of fear is actually uncertainty of knowing what is coming. And when decisions have to be made, you wonder which decision is the right decision. But I was very fortunate to work with excellent leaders who were willing to analyze data, listen to experts, and listen to their own gut based on their own experiences. And then when they made a decision, they made the decision with resolve and move strongly forward with that decision.
How about perception of others? For many people, fear is also linked to how they will be perceived by their colleagues, by their customers. What role does perception play when it comes to fear in business?
Well, when you're doing a job, I think you want to be perceived as someone competent, someone that people can listen to, someone that other people can trust. And that is based on perception. Are you perceived to be an expert? Are you perceived to be someone that can be trusted? I think that is absolutely an important factor in order for you to be able to do your own job, that other people perceive you to be someone to be trusted, to be seen as someone knowledgeable. I think it depends. There's also a phrase, fake it until you make it, right? So, if you're lacking self-confidence, sometimes you have to pretend that you're self-confident so that you're perceived to be self-confident. And then if you're perceived to be self-confident, you become self-confident, perhaps. Mm-hmm. As long as you are authentic, remain authentic, I think. And of course, the most important thing is that you have to be knowledgeable in your field. Because if you're just faking it in the sense that you actually have no idea what you're doing, then you're in trouble. But I think as long as the perception is to sort of invoke trust in other people, then I think that's fine.
What about your biggest professional fear? What was the fear and how have you tackled it?
Well, in my business, in my profession, very often there is no black and white, wrong or right answer. There are always gray areas. It depends. So very often it was the case that business partners don't want to hear the it depends or know about the gray area, or that maybe they want to know about the gray area, but in the end, they want a decision from you which way they should go. Of course, there's always the fear, again, coming back to uncertainty. What if you make the wrong decision? What if you give the wrong advice and it is acted on? But I think when there is uncertainty, again, you just have to focus on what you know to make an informed decision. Again, like those leaders that I worked with, you have to look at the facts, analyze the data, and with regard to the things you don't know, the uncertainty, you have to assess the risk. And then it becomes something manageable, something that you can sort of know to a certain degree because you've assessed a risk to it. And then based on all of those factors, you move forward. And so that's the way I tackled my fear. Is to basically just make a total assessment and end up with an informed decision.
Mm-hmm. It sounds as if then fear then drove maybe even more diligence or maybe even more intensity in your work. Is that right?
Oh, for sure. Fear can go two ways, right? Fear can incapacitate you, which can force you to make irrational decisions, or even worse, no decision, which will bring about the perception of incompetence, right? Or it can go in the other direction where fear can focus your mind, where you start focusing on the facts and immediately assessing risk in order to make that informed decision. I think uncertainty in business is a daily aspect. There's always uncertainty. It's the question of how one deals with it. If you allow it to incapacitate you, or if you allow it to lead to indecision, then it is definitely a weakness, because again, it comes back to the perception of your followers, because they're expecting you to do something. And if you do nothing, or you make decisions that are not rational, then they're not going to be supportive of you. In my personal life, I have a tendency to face those fears head on. I turn a little bit into a mother bear, you know. I have a tendency to, I like to say I straighten my back, you know, and I get ready to fight, you know. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's obviously an exaggeration, but I recognize that when I feel fear, when I feel real fear, I have a tendency to get ready. You know, I have a tendency to face them head on as opposed to cower.
What is your one advice for leaders in today's world?
I would say, Donna, it's a combination of different things rather than one piece of advice. I would say allow the fear to focus your mind. I would say listen to the experts, analyze the data, focus on what you know, and then also listen to your gut based on your experience. And then when you make a decision, make it with resolve. Make a strong decision. And lastly, I would say that if over time the data changes, the situation changes, don't be afraid to reverse course. Some of the best leaders I've worked with haven't been afraid to reverse course once facts have changed, and that takes a lot of courage.